Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
China wants 10 Pacific nations to endorse sweeping agreement on security, fisheries and more. Australia has responded to China's push for 10 Pacific nations to sign a sweeping new security deal, as Foreign Minister Penny Wong and her Beijing counterpart launched dueling diplomatic trips to the region. Wong will fly into Fiji on Thursday to meet with Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama, as Foreign Minister Wang Yi and a 20-strong delegation begin a visit more than half a dozen Pacific countries. The visits come after reports revealed China wants 10 small Pacific nations to endorse a sweeping agreement covering everything from security to fisheries in what one leader warns is a game-changing bid by Beijing to wrest control of the region. China has made its intentions clear. So too are the intentions of the new Australian government, Wong said in a statement on Wednesday, promising to be a regular visitor to the Pacific. "We want to help build a stronger Pacific family. We want to bring new energy and more resources to the Pacific, and we want to make a uniquely Australian contribution, including through our Pacific labour programs and new permanent migration opportunities." Wong earlier said the visit to Fiji, already her second international mission since being sworn in on Monday, showed the importance the incoming government was placing on Australia's relationship with Fiji and the rest of the region. A draft of the agreement obtained by the Associated Press shows that China wants to train Pacific police officers, team up on traditional and non-traditional security, and expand law enforcement cooperation. China also wants to jointly develop a marine plan for fisheries, which would include the Pacific's lucrative tuna catch, increase cooperation on running the region's internet networks, and set up cultural Confucius institutes and classrooms. China also mentions the possibility of setting up a free trade area with the Pacific nations. Wang is visiting 7 of the countries he hopes will endorse the Common Development Vision: the Solomon Islands, Kiribati, Samoa, Fiji, Tonga, Vanuatu, and Papua New Guinea. Wang is also holding virtual meetings with the other 3 potential signatories, the Cook Islands, Niue and the Federated States of Micronesia. He is hoping the countries will endorse the pre-written agreement as part of a joint communiqué after a scheduled May 30 meeting in Fiji he is holding with the foreign ministers from each of the 10 countries. But Micronesia's President David Panuelo has written an 8-page letter to the leaders of other Pacific nations saying his nation won't be endorsing the plan and warning of dire consequences if others do. Panuelo said in his letter, which the AP has obtained, that behind attractive words in the agreement like equity and justice are many worrying details. Among other concerns, he said, is that the agreement opens the door for China to own and control the region's fisheries and communications infrastructure. He said China could intercept emails and listen in on phone calls. Panuelo said in his letter that the agreement is an intent to shift those of us with diplomatic relations with China very close to Beijing's orbit, intrinsically tying the whole of our economies and societies to them. He warns the agreement would needlessly heighten geopolitical tensions and threaten regional stability. In his letter, Panuelo said the Common Development Vision was the single most game-changing proposed agreement in the Pacific in any of our lifetimes, and it threatens to bring a new Cold War era at best, and a World War at worst. But I don't agree at all with the argument that cooperation between China and the South Pacific Island countries will trigger a new Cold War, he said. He said that China has a long history of friendly relations with the South Pacific Island countries, and had long provided them economic and technical assistance without any political strings attached. Like some other countries in the Pacific, Micronesia is finding itself increasingly caught between the competing interests of Washington and Beijing. Micronesia has close ties to the US through a compact of free association. But it also has what Panuelo describes in his letter as a great friendship with China that he hopes will continue despite his opposition to the agreement. The security aspects of the agreement will be particularly troubling to many in the region and beyond, especially after China signed a separate security pact with the Solomon Islands last month. That pact has raised fears that China could send troops to the island nation or even establish a military base there, not far from Australia. The Solomon Islands and China say there are no plans for a base. The May 30th meeting will be the second between Wang and the Pacific Islands foreign ministers after they held a virtual meeting last October. Those who follow